has said. Having said that, Your Excellencies, whenever flood and its attendant issues are mentioned, it dawned on me by way of where I come from. Just as the eastern part is so disturbed with flood, the Niger Delta has been a flood victim, and particularly my state and my constituency has also suffered so much about flood. But most of the times, and year after year, these motions are moved. Even before we came or before we come here, motions have been moved. And government after government have made promises here and there. But not much is seen. My worry and wonder is that after this bill, these eloquent speeches are made, what will come after this motion? It's my worry. Because if the functionalities, the operatives, that is the executive arm, is not responding adequately to the motions that we move, we will just be talking and the public will just be listening and we talk as jargons, and that is not very good at all. And so, Mr. President, I thought administration is supposed to identify problems and finding means to solving those problems. That is what administration stands for. But we are seeing it in the other form. Although by your explanations and by your callings and by your manifestos, there is a renewed hope. And that is why I'm even standing up to talk. That with this renewed hope, I believe, Mr. President, things will be done better. Because the people of Bisani are asking me, now, where are we going to after now? The people of Yenagua are asking me, when the flood eventually take over everywhere, what shall we do? And that is why I have to stand up to ask this question. Are you prepared, please, Mr. President, and our country to respond to the needs of our people who are suffering? Because the people of Bisani are supposed to be taking away that environment before the flood starts. People have started packing. And that is the worry we have year after year. And so I want to thank my leader who brought this motion, and for me to bring what is happening in my area also to join whatever has been said here. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. We go to the prayers.
On the federal government to urgently make emergency provisions for the victims of flooding in some communities in Abia North. That the Senate notes that the recent perennial downpour in some communities of Abia State, North Senatorial District of Abia State, caused severe damages to the affected communities. Also note that the ugly occurrence, which came with lightning and thunder, was so severe and devastating that some precious lives were lost in the flood. Critically connecting roads were completely cut off, making movement between communities impossible. Farmlands were washed away, destroyed, and attendant losses of crops and livestock amounting to several millions of naira. Aware that some houses lost their roof, while others with weak foundation collapsed, and occupants display alongside with their helpless families. Worst hit were Okoko Item Primary School, Okbosi Primary School in Ibere, radio station and a university structure, and many other houses in Bende local government. Observe that social economic activities have been brought to a near halt as a result of this disaster in communities like Iwere, Item, Ezuku Road, which was divided into parts. Ezuku River, Nkporo, Umuhu, Abriba, Okono, Ohafia, Abam, Ihechowa, and other adjoining communities in all Bende and Ohafia local government and Aruchuku local government areas. Concerned that the situation caused by this flooding linked to climate change have left affected citizens of the district in pitiable situation. Worried that with the destruction of certain infrastructure affected, resident majority who are rural dwellers, artisans, and farmers are presently facing existence without basic necessity of life. Most worried that if no emergency response is provided for the victims, the desolated society will be worse for it, and the incredible number of casualties may be recorded. Resolved that observe a 1 minute silence in honor of those who lost their life previously in the unfortunate flooding incident in Abia North Senatorial District, or the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and National Emergency Management Agency to urgently make emergency provision available to cushion the effects of those victims affected in the communities in Abia North Senatorial District, or the Federal Ministry of Housing and Works, Development and Power to rehabilitate some of the collapsed homes and roads and electrical installation within the affected area. Fourth, all the Ecological Fund Department, Office of Secretary to Government of Federation, and the Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management Agent to urgently assess the extent of damage caused in view of providing some measures of rebuilding the damaged environment created by this ugly incident. Mandate the Senate legislative compliance and environment to ensure compliance and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Mr. President, I so submit. I urge my colleagues to support this motion because the people are in dire need of these areas of the Abia North Senatorial District. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief Emeritus.
I rise to support the motion ably moved by my former governor and Chief Whip Emeritus, distinguished Senator Oji Ozo Kanu. And in doing that, I want to confirm that I'm very conversant not only with the area, but the magnitude of the devastation caused by the storm. This has rendered the people involved so helpless, homeless, and there is urgent need for intervention at quick impact level, intermediary and long term, because the roads were washed away, houses were broken, and most of them are rendered homeless. So I support the motion by advising and suggesting at the same time that the federal government intervenes promptly. I so support.
Let me recognize the most loyal.
That means that everything that he has said, I concur with it. And therefore, urge my colleagues to please support this very wonderful motion. I so support.
Thank you.
And his ever loyal deputy governor. Abaribe told me that he's always loyal to Oji. Very loyal. Now, this motion came last week as a point of order, and it was referred to today. Mr. President, there's nothing to add. Erosion is about taking over the entire Southeast. In my senatorial zone of Idato North, Idato South, Olu local government, Njaba, erosion have taken over everything. This flooding of 2024 is a major issue because last year we had flooding in this country and we were advised that this year is going to be worst. But I thought maybe some remedial jobs ought to have been done in some of these areas, but as of today, nothing is done. Mr. President, I'm supporting this motion wholeheartedly, but when we come to the prayers, I'm going to add these very devastating areas of my senatorial zone so there can be a holistic prayer. I thank you, Mr. President.
I think, okay, now being done to alleviate all these kind of happenings in the entire south or southern part of the country. The government is doing very well. The coastal road is being constructed and several other projects. The coastal road is a legacy project that has never been done in this country, something very, very big, and several others are coming. This is just 1 year of the administration. The Renewed Hope is working, and it will get to the root of what you're asking about. Just continue to cooperate with the government. Everything will be okay. As an opposition senator, cooperate with us. A lot will come, and things will change for the better by the grace of God. We'll go to the prayers. Prayer 1, observe a minute's silence in honor of those who lost their previous lives in the unfortunate flooding incident in Abia North Senatorial District. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Call on the Federal Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation and National Emergency Management Agency to urgently make emergency provision available to cushion the effects on victims of the affected communities in Abia North Central District. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Urge the federal ministries of housing and urban development and power to rehabilitate some of the collapsed homes, roads, and electric installations within the affected areas. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Also, urge the Ecological Fund Department of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management to urgently assess the extent of damages and erosion size of the areas with a view to providing some measures of rebuilding the damaged environment created by these ugly incidents. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Mandate the committees on legislative compliance and environment to ensure compliance and report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Let me...
Additional prayer.
Additional prayer. Senator Sita. The motion for additional prayers moved by Senator Sita and seconded by Senator Vito. May please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The Deputy Leader.
Your Excellency, Mr. Senate President.
My name is Cyril Fashiri. The Senate notes with concern that on the 2nd of June 2024, a violent windstorm and heavy rainfall affected Ipao, Itakwaji, and Eukeako towns in Ikoli local government area of Ekiti State, leading to the destruction of houses, farmlands, schools, property, foodstuffs, shelter, and other valuables. Also notes that another devastating storm occurred on the 6th June 2024, which put the same towns in Ekiti North Senatorial District into serious distress. Aware that the windstorm has further resulted in the displacement of people and families from their ancestral homes. The Senate also aware that essential infrastructure, farmlands, and livestock in these communities have been utterly wrecked by the effects of the windstorm. The Senate is concerned that the inhabitants of Ipao, Itakwaji, and Ukeako towns right now are living in untold hardship, suffering and apprehensive about their future amidst this recurring disaster. Regrets that government agencies have failed to give warnings and advance information to prevent and control imminent disasters on the communities which has continued to sustain constant fear and lack of knowledge on preparedness by rural communities across the country. The Senate observes that so far, no agency of state or federal government has come to the assistance of the victims of these natural disasters. Equally aware that the victims are currently living in very deplorable conditions, having been dispersed into some neighboring villages and are squatting with friends and relatives with little or nothing to cater for the needs of their families. Considers that these agrarian towns are the major producer of food in the senatorial districts, but the present situation may worsen food security throughout the district. Convinced that if urgent assistance is not provided, the victim will remain homeless and hungry, and in such situation will have serious adverse effects on their health and livelihood with that of other people living around them. Accordingly, resolves to 1. Urge the federal government through its Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to send relief packages, most especially food items, building materials, farm tools, and other essential equipment to enable the affected people of Ipao, Itakwaji, and Okeako towns feed, rebuild their homes, and alleviate their pains in view of the impending rain season. Secondly, mandate the committees on environment and legislative compliance to ensure strict compliance with this resolution and report within 4 weeks. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I so move. Thank you.
Any